हरे राम 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 हरे हरे, हरे कृष्ण 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 हरे हरे, हरे राम 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 हरे हरे, हरे कृष्ण 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 हरे हरे, कलये सुन्दराकारं सदैकप्रियदर्शनम् अज्ञाननाशकं देवं सद्गुरुं मुरलीमण्डितकरकमलं मुनिजनमोहनं व्यत्यस्तपादं वनमालाधारिणं प्रेमभक्तमण्डलनित्यकीर्तितं श्रीप्रेमिकवरदम् आश्रयेऽहम्, निगमकल्पतरोर्गलितं फलं शुकमुखादमृतद्रवसंयुतं पिबत भागवतं रसमालयं मुहुरहो रसिका भुवि भावुकाः, कृष्णाय वासुदेवाय देवकीनन्दनाय च नन्दगोपकुमाराय गोविन्दाय नमो नमः, कृष्णाय वासुदेवाय हरये परमात्मने प्रणतक्लेशनाशाय गोविन्दाय नमो नमः, नामसङ्कीर्तनं यस्य सर्वपापप्रणाशनं प्रणामो दुःखशमनः तं नमामि हरिं परं, श्रीहरये नमः श्रीहरये नमः श्रीहरये नमः, गोपिका जीवनस्मरणं गोविन्दा गोविन्दा, सद्गुरुनाथ महाराज की जय। By the benign grace of Lord Sri Hari, our very beloved Sri Madhuri Sakhi Sameta Premikavarada Thakurji, and by the immense kripa of our Sadguru Maharaj, His Holiness Maharanyam Sri Sri Muridhara Swamiji, we have been very fortunate, we have been very blessed to be enjoying Srimad Bhagavatam every other weekend like this. We are also so fortunate to be learning to do Bhagavata Parayana and learning a lot of stories about many bhaktas during these sessions. Our Guru Maharaj would say that any day, any moment that we spend thinking of Bhagavan Lord Shri Krishna, thinking of our Guru Maharaj, thinking of Guru Kripa, or thinking of Bhagavatam, or remembering the Leelas of the Bhaktas and Bhagwan, any moment spent like this is the most blessed moment. Like our Bhadrachal Ramadasa Garu sings, Diname Sudinamu. This day is indeed a blessed day because we are here sitting with Srimad Bhagavatam. We have been learning to do Bhagavata Parayana, and as we have been telling, just doing Parayana of Bhagavatam itself is of great benefit. Like we said on the other day, Shlokadham Shlokapadam va. Even if we read only half a shloka or even just a quarter of a has been given in Padma Purana and also in Skanda Purana. Right? It is given in Padma Purana. Before we begin any of the Bhagavata chapters per se, we read this Padma Purana Bhagavata Mahatmya. Right? There are 6 chapters of this Bhagavata Mahatmya. And it starts by telling us how great it is to even have Bhagavatam in our hands. It's not easy for anyone to get Bhagavatam. Today we have Bhagavatam in our hands, so we take it for granted. But it is not easy. Padma Purana says, Janmantare bhavet punyam Srimad Bhagavatam labhet. Janmantare bhavet punyam Srimad Bhagavatam labhet. It is only due to accumulated merits, so much of merits that we have accumulated over many lifetimes, many lives, in many births. All the punyas that we had done in all our previous births, when they all bring about a fruit, when all those punyas, when all those merits fructify, it is only then that we get Srimad Bhagavatam. Not otherwise. It is said that when Shukacharya, who was narrating Srimad Bhagavatam to Parikshit. Now we will see the story of how Parikshit got to meet Shukacharya, or why he met Shukacharya, or why Shukacharya came, and how this conversation happened. All these things we are going to learn. But long story short, we all know that Shukacharya narrated Bhagavatam to Parikshit Maharaja. And Parikshit Maharaja had taken a vow of Prayopavesha. Right? It was a vrata that he had taken. And he was sitting on the banks of Mother Ganga. And that's why Shukacharya was about to start this Bhagavatam to Parikshit Maharaja. When he was about to start this narration, Padma Purana says that Devas from Devaloka, they came down and they had a pot of Devamrita in their hands. Imagine, Devamrita is something that can make someone Amrita, which means immortal. Not literally, not completely immortal, but Devas have a better lifespan than human beings, right? So they are kind of immortal. But finally, during deluge, during pralaya, everyone will have to go and merge into Bhagwan. Right? So they had this Devamrita, and Indra would not offer this Devamrita to anybody easily. He was very thrifty about it. He would never offer, even if someone comes to Indraloka. See, if someone comes to our house, will we not be hospitable? Will we not offer them something to eat? Will we not at least offer them a glass of water? No, that is what is Atithya, is it not? We have to do that. We have to show some hospitality to visitors, to guests. That is our culture. But this Indra, he would never offer anything, it seems, to whoever comes to Indraloka. That easily, no visitors will be given any kind of hospitality with respect to food. Because the only food available in Devaloka is Amrita. And he would not part with that Amrita that easily. It is said in Ramayana that Dasharatha Maharaja, the father of Sri Ramachandra Prabhu, he used to go to Indraloka to help Indra fight the Asuras. So, Indra used to take the help of Dasharatha to fight the Asuras. Right? But when Dasharatha, after winning the war for Indra, when he would sit with Indra in Indraloka, Indra would not offer even one drop of Amrita, it seems. That is how thrifty he was. And that Indra came down today with a pot full of that Amrita, and he was offering it to Shukacharya, it seems. He said, Shukacharya, please accept this pot of nectar, this pot of Devamrita, and in exchange, please give us that Bhagavatamrita. Because Srimad Bhagavatam is not available even in Kailasa or Vaikunta or Satyaloka or Swargaloka. We are the ones who are most fortunate, for it is available only here. So if Devas, even if Lord Shiva wanted to learn Bhagavatam, he has to come down to Bhuloka to enjoy it. So Devas thought that let us take this Bhagavatamrita by giving this Devamrita in exchange, and that way we would possess something unique. They really wanted it. But when Indra offered this pot of nectar to Shukacharya, Shukacharya just laughed it off, it seems. He says, Kva kachaha kva manir mahan. If someone comes and offers us a few broken pieces of glass, right? A few broken pieces of glass in exchange for a diamond, would we be stupid enough to give it? No, is it not? We know how valueless these glass pieces are and how invaluable the diamond is. So we would not exchange it like that. And Shukacharya also knew the greatness of this Bhagavatam, and he thought anyone who thinks that they can trade something and get Bhagavatam in return do not understand the greatness and the glory of Bhagavatam, and they do not deserve to hold this Bhagavatam. So Shukacharya says, knowing these devas to be not bhaktas, he just laughed them off, it seems, and did not give this Bhagavatam. That's why he says, Janmantare bhavet punyam Srimad Bhagavatam labhet. Even devas do not have this Bhagavatam in their hands. We have it. So whenever you take this Bhagavatam in your hand, you have to remember the fortune that Bhagavan has bestowed on us. The greatness of that Bhagavatam should be remembered every time we touch that Bhagavatam with our hand. Right? When we hold it to read it, first we have to take it in our hands with so much of reference. Now why is it so great? It is said in Padma Puranam that Brahmaji himself was very baffled, it seems. When he saw that Parikshit heard Srimad Bhagavatam for 7 days and he attained Vaikuntha. He attained liberation. He attained the greatest thing that one has to aspire for. He got it. Eternal joy, eternal happiness. He got that. So Brahmaji thought, my God, is Bhagavatam really that great? And it seemed he made a very simple test. What was it? He took a balance in his hand, a weighing balance. He took that weighing balance in his hand and he placed all the scriptures on one side of the scale, and on the other side he placed just Srimad Bhagavatam, and Srimad Bhagavatam outweighed every other Shastra, every other scripture, it seems. Padma Puranam is showing us this to show the greatness of Bhagavatam over all the other scriptures. Take any Itihasa, any Purana, any Upapurana, whatever Shastras we have in our hand, Bhagavatam outweighs everything because it is capable of taking care of even people in Kali Yuga, which other Shastras cannot do. No, that is the beauty of Srimad Bhagavatam, and Brahmaji realized the greatness of Bhagavatam to be such. Now, why is Bhagavatam so great? It is great because, see, there is something very unique about Bhagavatam. There are some things unique about other scriptures also. For example, Srimad Bhagavad Gita is very unique. Why? Because Bhagavad Gita is the voice of Sri Krishna. It was a song sung by Lord Sri Krishna himself. So every time we read the shloka from Bhagavad Gita, Dharma Kshetre Kurukshetre Savaveta Yuyutsavaha, when you read that shloka, instantly we can relate, we can connect ourselves to Krishna and think, oh, these are the words that were spoken by Krishna. Maya Veshya Manoyema Nityayukta Upasate. When you listen to that shloka, you can think, Krishna spoke the very same words and we are also speaking the very same words. So that is the link between me and Krishna through this Bhagavad Gita. Similarly, Ramayana, Srimad Ramayana is also very unique. How is it unique? What is the uniqueness of Srimad Ramayana? The uniqueness of Srimad Ramayana lies in the fact that Ramayana was heard by Lord Rama himself. Bhagavad Gita was spoken by Lord Krishna himself. Ramayana was heard by Lord Rama himself. But the greatness and the uniqueness of Bhagavatam, Srimad Bhagavatam, lies in the fact that Bhagavatam is Lord Krishna himself. It is not just his voice. It is not something that he just heard. But it is Sakshat Bhagavan. Srimad Bhagavatakyoyam Pratyaksha Krishna Evahi. It is Pratyaksha Krishna Evahi. It is Pratyaksha Krishna. Right? That is the greatness of Bhagavatam. It is said that when Bhagavan, Lord Shri Krishna, we know he incarnated, he did this avatara, he descended into this world in Dwapara Yuga. He lived for around 125 years, and at the end of it, when Bhagavan decided to go back to his Vaikuntha, to finish off the Leela in this Bhuloka and get back to his abode, Uddhava Swami, who was such a great friend of Lord Shri Krishna, who was the minister of Lord Shri Krishna, who was the greatest devotee of Lord Shri Krishna, he immediately understood the plan of Bhagavan. He knew that Bhagavan was planning to actually go back to his abode. So what he thought, if Bhagavan leaves this world like this, what will the other devotees do? There are so many devotees who will feel that they have lost the support. They need to have something to hold on to in the absence of Bhagavan, is it not? So he went to Lord Shri Krishna, he fell at his feet and he said, Krishna, I know your mind, I know what you're thinking. I know that you have planned to quit this Bhuloka and go back to your abode. But Krishna, please consider my request. Please think of all those devotees who would be shattered without any ashraya, who would be shattered without anything to hold on to. So Krishna, please do something for them. When Uddhava Swami spoke like this to Shri Krishna, Bhagavan also thought. He thought, yes, there is some point to what Uddhava says. And that is when Bhagavan decided to do something unique. In every avatar, we know how Bhagavan went back to his abode. In Rama Avatara, it is said that Bhagavan called everyone to the banks of Sarayu river and he gave Vaikuntha to everyone, whoever came there, whoever wanted. And he also went to, Saketapuri. We know that. But at the end of Krishna Avatara, something very brilliant, something very unique, something that was wondrous happened. When Bhagavan decided to quit this Bhuloka, he did not, visibly, he did not die like any other mortal. He did not, burn off his body in Yoga Samadhi. He did not, just fly in some Vimana to Vaikuntha. Instead, what Bhagavan did? Tirodhaya pravishtoyam Srimad Bhagavatarnavam. Bhagavan, he collected all his divine effulgence. He collected all his divine Shakti, his Sanidhya, his presence, his very self, and he entered this Leela Sagara called Srimad Bhagavatam. He entered Bhagavatam and Krishna did not leave this Bhuloka, but Krishna resides with us in the form of Srimad Bhagavatam. So when we take Bhagavatam in our hand, we have to remember we are holding not a book. It is not a mere book. We are holding on to Lord Shri Krishna. That is why it was said, Janmantare bhavet punyam Srimad Bhagavatam labhet. Because once we get Srimad Bhagavatam, it means we have got Lord Krishna himself in our hands. Is it not? Because he has entered this Bhagavatam, he has entered this, he is there in it, and that is why we say, Bhakyani sakshat radhaiva artham Shri Krishnameva hi Radha Krishna Swarupam hi Srimad Bhagavatam Param. Bhakyani sakshat radhaiva. Every sloka, every sentence that you read in Bhagavatam, it is Radharani, and the meaning of every shloka is Lord Shri Krishna, and therefore Srimad Bhagavatam is Radha Krishna Swarupam hi. It is Radha Krishna Swarupa. That is the greatness, that is the uniqueness of Srimad Bhagavatam. What is the uniqueness? It is Bhagavan Shri Krishna himself. That's why we see Bhagavatam itself as Bhagavata Bhagavan ki Jai. Is it not? That is the beauty of Srimad Bhagavatam. And that is why merely having Srimad Bhagavatam in our house, in the puja room, and offering it just a few flowers or just a leaf of Tulasi Mata to this Bhagavatam and doing one namaskara to this Bhagavatam in our puja room itself is enough. Wherever Srimad Bhagavatam is, in whichever house Srimad Bhagavatam is, all the tirthas, all the holy river resides there because we have Krishna in our home. We all go and have our bath in our holy rivers. Ganga, Yamuna, Narmada, Sindhu, Kaveri, etc. Is it not? We have our Bharata Bhumi is such a blessed Bhumi. We have so many holy rivers. There are many rivers running in many countries, but none of them claim to have this greatness of benefiting us by cleansing our sins. But the greatness of the rivers that flow in our holy Bharata Bhumi lies in the fact that it does not just merely cleanse our external self, our external body, but it also cleanses our inner self. Is it not? That is why we call it holy rivers. We all go and have a dip in Mother Ganga or Mother Yamuna or Mother Kaveri, right? In all these holy rivers, so that we can wash our sins off. But then by doing that, are we not dirtying the water by putting our sins into it? How do these holy rivers cleanse themselves and keep themselves pure? They come to the houses of people who have Bhagavatam in their house because they have Krishna there, and Krishna plays in that house where Bhagavatam resides, and they come to that house, they serve the people of that house, without being perceived, and they can cleanse themselves, it seems. That's why it says in Padma Purana, Katha Bhagavatasyapi Nityam Bhavati Yadgrihe Tadgriham Tirtha Rupam Hi Vasatam Papanashanam. Wherever we have the Srimad Bhagavatam, that house itself becomes Tadgriham Tirtha Rupam Hi. That house itself becomes Tirtha Rupa and Vasatam Papanashanam. It cleanses the entire house, it cleanses the people living in that house, and it makes that very house a temple, because where Bhagavan resides, that is the temple, is it not? Wherever we have the presence, wherever we have the Sanidhya of Bhagavan, that is where, that is what is called temple. And when we have Srimad Bhagavatam in our house itself becomes a beautiful temple. It is said that there was this great Bhakta who resided in the southern part of India. And one day he went to one Katha, and the Pauranika was talking about the greatness of having a snana in Ganga. And he spoke about the greatness of Kashi, the greatness of Mother Ganga, and how anyone who is born in Sanatana Dharma has to go to Kashi at least once in their lifetime and have a dip in holy Ganga at least once in their lifetime. And then he kept emphasizing on the greatness of this Mother Ganga. This devotee who was listening to the story had this deep desire to go and have a dip in Ganga Mata. So he set out from southern India and he started walking towards Kashi, Banaras or Varanasi in the northern India. And he kept walking, and those were the days when the transport was not as good as now, and people could not really easily reach to places. And those were the days when people who went to Ganga, Kashi, who went to Kashi Yatra, had a dip in Ganga and came back. Others used to go to their house and prostrate them, because many times people who attempt to do such a pilgrimage might not return because of all the perils on the way. They have to cross through the rivers, they have to cross through the forests, they have to cross through many villages, and they have to depend on food and stay very randomly. There were no hotels and all, but people were very amicable and people were very hospitable those days. So it was not easy. And this devotee also, he kept walking like that. He had this great desire to have a dip in Mother Ganga. So he was not deterred by all these perils. He kept walking. And after months of walking, he reached Kashi slowly. And when he reached Kashi, finally, he knew that he was, Ganga Mata was very near. And by the time he reached a particular village which was very near Mother Ganga, the river Ganga, it was late in the night. So he thought, let me stay, in this village itself and go to have dip in Ganga tomorrow morning. And he found, so those were the days when people used to have a nice veranda, a kind of a pile outside their house, and any stranger could just sleep there. And usually, that was our culture. The resident of the house would usually open the door and check to see if anyone was lying down out there. And if they found any stranger, they would actually offer them food. They will ask if you have had your dinner. If not, do you want to have food? And they used to save food for, they never used to cook for themselves. Every day they cooked food, they always left a bit. Just so, they would be able to offer if someone came and slept outside. So, similarly, when this devotee found a house like that and he was about to rest outside, there was a very old man residing inside this house. Small hut. And that old man opened the door to check if someone was there. He saw this man, this devotee, and he asked him, have you had your, prasadam? Have you had your food for the night? And he said, I had my lunch, I haven't had my dinner. And immediately the old man, he invited him inside. He gave him food. He said, you can rest here. And now that they were talking and, they were having this conversation, immediately the devotee asked, how far is river Ganga from here? And this old man said, I have no clue. It must be somewhere, I don't know. This devotee was completely shocked. He said, what do you mean you don't know? How can you not know? You are living in Kashi. It must be, some few kilometers away from here. How can you not know where Ganga is? He said, I am too old. I don't go to Ganga or I don't have a dip there. I don't have any clue of all that. Immediately this devotee felt very bad. He thought, oh my God, what have I done? I have, stayed and have taken food from the hands of this old man who is actually a Kshetra Pavi. Someone is called a Kshetra Pavi. If you go to a Kshetra and ignore the Tirtha there or the Deivam there, you go to a holy place and then you ignore the holy river there, you ignore the temple there and you come off, you are called a Kshetra Pavi. This person was living in this Kshetra and he did not know where Ganga was. What a Kshetra Pavi this man is. Oh my God, why did I even choose to stay here? But he spent the whole night like this, totally perplexed, baffled and very agonized by the thought that he had to be here. Next day morning, very early morning, he left. He kept walking and he asked for directions, and finally when they said, there you see, that is the bank of river Ganga, he went there and to his utter shock, he could not see the river. Imagine. He went to Ganga Mata. He was able to see people were having a dip and coming with wet clothes out, but he could not perceive Ganga. The more he went in, he could not, even touch Ganga Mata. He sat on the banks of Ganga Mata and he wept bitterly. He thought, oh my God, it's because I stayed in that Kshetra Pavi's house. That is why I'm not able to see Mother Ganga. She must be angry with me. And when he was crying like this, a sadhu came there. Kashi is full of Mahatmas. Kashi is full of sadhus, is it not? So when sadhu came there, when he saw him crying, he asked what was wrong. He said, Prabhuji, how can I tell you? Will you believe me if I tell you that I cannot see Ganga Mata? I'm not able to perceive her. Immediately he said, you must have done some apachara to a Mahatma. Only then Ganga Mata would not reveal herself. When he heard this, for a moment he thought, I did not do any apachara to anyone. And then for a moment he thought maybe that old man was some sadhu in some disguise and he was just, testing him. So let me go back and fall at his feet and ask for forgiveness. And immediately he ran back to that old man's house. And by the time he reached the old man's house, again it was very late in the night. It was almost 12 o'clock, it was almost midnight. So he did not dare to wake up the old man. Instead, he waited outside the veranda. He could not sleep today. He was awake around 3:30, early in the morning in Brahma Muhurta. he suddenly saw 7 very ugly women, very dirty women entering the hut. And while he was watching, they entered the hut of this old man. They swept the house, they mopped the house, and then they drew beautiful rangolis, and then they cleaned the house everywhere. They did all that service, and when they walked out as brilliant celestial damsels. They were shining bright, and their splendor could be seen. And this devotee was wonderstruck, dumbstruck. He didn't know what to say. And by the time he could collect himself to actually talk to them, they were almost gone. And he called out, and the last of the ladies turned around and he said, "Mother, who are you all? You all looked so dirty when you entered. Now you all look so pure and brilliant and splendorous and wondrous. How is this even possible? Who are you?" They said, "We don't have time to stay here, but we are the Sapta Nadis, the 7 holy rivers. Ganga, Yamuna, Kaveri, Sindhu, Narmada. We are that Saraswati. We are those 7 rivers. We come to cleanse ourselves here." And saying so, they ran off. Next day morning, when the old man came out, he saw, this perplexed devotee standing there. He said, "Did you have the dip in holy Ganga?" Immediately, the devotee fell at the feet of this old man. And he said, "Mahatma, Swami, you must be a great devotee. Please don't cheat me any further. Please tell me what sadhana you do for this greatness." That old man did not understand a word of this. He said, "What do you mean? I don't do any sadhana. I do not do any spiritual practice. I am not a Mahatma. I am nothing." The devotee said, No, you cannot say that. I saw Sapta Nadis, the 7 holy rivers, come to your house, clean your house and cleanse themselves. I saw that. What do you do? The old man said, "I don't do anything very specifically, but I do something very regularly." What is it? He says, "My family, they have been having this holy book. I don't know what it is, but that holy book has been in our puja room. All our ancestors used to have it, and it was passed down through the family. And my father, my grandfather, all of them had it. And I have seen only one thing. Everybody would just keep that holy book in the puja room. They would offer, 2 tulasis and do namaskara. I have been doing the same thing." And when this devotee went to see what that holy book was, it was Srimad Bhagavatam. That old man was just holding on to that Bhagavatam and just offering few flowers to it. And that was what he did that regularly. And that was what made his very house Tadgriham Tirtharupam hi. That's the greatness, there's the uniqueness of Bhagavatam. So every day we read Bhagavatam, we have to remember this. We have to remember that it is a great blessing that we have Bhagavatam in our hand today. And then we have to remember that this is Lord Krishna himself that we are holding in our hand. When we open and read every shloka, it is Radha Krishna Swarupa. We have to remember this. When we remember this greatness of Bhagavatam and when we read, then we'll be amazed by what that Bhagavatam Parayana can do for us. So we'll stop with Bhagavata Mahatmya for today. We'll continue learning Bhagavatam from our next session too. कायेन वाचा मनसेन्द्रियैर्वा बुद्ध्यात्मना वा प्रकृते स्वभावात् करोमि यद्यत् सकलं परस्मै श्रीमन्नारायणायेति समर्पयामि. हरे राम 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 हरे हरे, हरे कृष्ण 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 हरे हरे, हरे राम 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 हरे हरे, हरे कृष्ण 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 हरे हरे, हरे राम 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 हरे हरे, हरे कृष्ण 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 हरे हरे. गोपिका जीवन स्मरणं गोविंदा गोविंदा. सद्गुरु महाराज की जय.